So this is kind of going to answer some of your like benchmark questions. So key metrics and benchmarks for gym health: profit margins, liquidity ratios, membership and PT client growth rates, and labor. So profit margins, I mentioned it earlier, ideally it's a benchmark of 20%. I don't know if Kale, if you know the numbers, but what percentage of gyms in the country are actually doing 20%? I think it might only be 20%. I'm not talking Anytime Fitness, but beyond. But 20%. Do you have any information on that, Kale, by chance?
I don't have any data, but that is basically benchmark across like pretty much every brand that we have. 15 to 20, 25% is their benchmarks.
Yep. I know that usually HVLPs like the Planets and the Crunches, there is about 10%, a little bit tighter on the margins. Anybody know what the grocery store is? Grocery store margin is a good margin. It's about 1 to 3%. 1 to 3%. Can you imagine? Like everything's razor thin. You got to be really good at logistics, I think. Okay, so that's where you. So again, if you sold $100,000 for that period, you should be able to, on your net income, say, "Hey, I took $20,000 from that." That's what we mean by that particular benchmark. Okay, any questions on that? Now, if you're not doing that, don't be all upset. It's just telling you something, that there's some efficiencies that you can work on. I know that like the one Anytime Fitness I was showing you, that's 37%. I know some can get 40%, 4 walls. It's, doesn't mean, I mean, your area could affect that. If you have there's some people that have a $3,000 rent. There are some that have a $13,000 rent. So you don't necessarily want to compare, oh, I heard my friend, he's doing like 40% and I'm doing like 16. Oh, I'm terrible. You're not terrible. It's like you gotta really look under the hood to determine what is realistic for your area. So 20% is a nice little benchmark. Okay. Key factors that influence profit margin: operational efficiency. All right, there's so much waste. Like I'm dealing with a bunch of waste in my organization right now. Like our labor really went up because we wanted to scale a few things, and it's just not producing the efficiency behind it. So we're gonna make some changes. I got my offsite coming up, leaving actually tonight. We're gonna really work on that because the bigger you get, the more things get a little wanky. So operational efficiency is a big one. You got your membership retention rate. As we all heard, it costs you more money to get a new member than it is to keep a member. And then, of course, additional revenue streams. How are you doing the premium membership? Brett Livingstone talked about that at the our Mastermind Summit and how powerful. I think he's getting close to 50% of his members are doing a premium membership. He doesn't call it premium anymore, but they're paying close to, I think, $90 a month on average. So 50% of his members are paying $90 per month. And the cost to serve that is like peanuts. It doesn't really cost anything, right? Versus, remember, if you sell a $200 coaching program, there's a much greater cost to serve that. So think about revenue streams that might not cost that much to serve. Membership and PT growth rates, 5 to 10% is something that you want to strive for. I know that Anytime Fitness said that Anytime Fitness is pretty much flat as a right? That's what they said at conference. It's pretty much flat. They said like 3.4%. But Rob, do you know what Anytime Fitness the system is right now? I think it's flat for memberships.
Yeah, it's around the 3.5% range, I believe.
Yeah, I think that was, the dates they use on that was a little different. But anyways, like for us this year, our PT is up about 11% over prior year. However, memberships are about flat. So those are, again, some of the efficiencies that we're not executing on. So look at how you're doing relative. Again, don't beat yourself up when we have comparisons. I made that mistake before. It's just telling you a little something about your business. PT labor benchmarks. So this is, I think, to Rob's question, was 40% of your PT revenue. So if you sell $100,000 in personal training only, not top line revenue, 40% should go to, 40% should go to the coach. So really, I don't know if I wrote that right, 60% should go to the house. Okay. So you should retain 60,000 of that 100,000. That's very efficient PT program. Now, if you're doing one-on-one training, that's going to be harder to get, right? That's where the SGT, the semi, and the team really makes a difference there. Of course, if you're building your PT program and you're only doing $5,000 and you're paying your trainer $4,000 because you want a good trainer, then that's not going to work either. But knowing that you're in the growth phase. Okay, so there's a couple nuances behind that. If you're let's say you're doing 20 grand and you are at that 60-40 split, but yet you're signing up about 60 new members a month. So heck, I need another coach. Then yes, for a period of time, maybe about 6 months, you're going to dip below that benchmark, and that's okay. Just understanding, being able to look ahead. All right, any questions on that? Total labor. This is where we tend to, there's a caveat here. If you have a robust PT program, so you're doing, like most of my clubs, 50% of the revenue are coming from PT. So therefore 35% is a strong benchmark. If you don't have much PT, say you're doing 4 or 5 grand and you have 1,000 members, no, your benchmark should be closer to like 16 to 20%. Because again, the cost to serve a membership is way different than the cost to serve a PT client.